Hello and welcome to Chapter 13. Today we'll be talking about marijuana. So, what is marijuana? Technically, it's known as Cannabis sativa. It's a plant that's mainly green and sometimes brown in color, and the part that's consumed are the leaves, stems, seeds, and flowers. Flowers are also known as buds, and this is the part that is smoked. THC is the main psychoactive or mind altering ingredient in marijuana. We have a long history with marijuana use. In ancient times, marijuana was used not only in ceremonial rituals, but also has been used throughout the centuries for making cloth, rope, and other materials. So we see in ancient times it was used in China, India, Assyria, Greece, and more recently in North America we used it for making rope, cloth, and many other textile like products. Here you get a better idea of the many uses of the hemp plant. And this is not the hemp plant that is consumed to get you high. This is the hemp plant that is agricultural or industrial grade. And we see that there are many uses for it, including personal hygiene products, cooking oils, building materials, industrial products, textiles, and the list goes on. You can take a look at this on your own. The nutritional content of the hemp plant is substantial. And again, this is not the hemp plant that gets you high. This is the agricultural or industrial grade hemp plant that you can buy at Whole Foods. I'm talking about hemp milk, hemp ice cream, hemp seeds, and these are actually a good source of amino acids, including the 10 essential amino acids that our body cannot produce. It's also a good source of polyunsaturated fatty acids, those omega 6s and omega 3s. Hemp is also allergy friendly, easily digested, and a good source of vitamin E. Next, let's take a look at some marijuana statistics. This is data collected by the National Survey on Drug Use and Health 2013 data. This is an annual household survey conducted in the US. This is a big picture of all illegal drug use in the US and in some cases legal considering medicinal and recreational use of marijuana. The overall use is the red line at the top, and we see that marijuana, the blue line, is the most used illegal substance in the United States, followed by pills, cocaine, and hallucinogens. Next is a look at marijuana initiates, or using marijuana for the first time, and this is age 12 to 49-year-olds. And we see that the average age of initiation, represented by the blue line, is about 17 to 18 years of age. New initiates, represented by the red line, is on the increase, ranging from about 2.2 million to 2.6 million. And this is no doubt influenced by our current landscape of legalized medicinal and recreational use of marijuana. This is a look at young people and gender. We see here males, represented by the red line, use more marijuana than females, but that females are clearly on the rise for marijuana use. And this is an important fact that we need to pay attention to and respond to in our prevention efforts. This last slide is of particular concern for me as it represents daily or almost daily use of marijuana. So these people are on the road driving, in the workplace, in school, and perhaps caring for children. And these issues are important because currently they're exists a gap in between our state legislation, in some cases legalize marijuana use for recreational or medicinal purposes, and the social consequences of marijuana use. Next, let's take a look at those factors that influence marijuana use. Of great importance is a youngster's perceived risk of use. What's the attitude towards substance use? Does the young person perceive themselves as possibly using in the future? What about parental use of substances in the home? Not just use of marijuana, but also use of alcohol, tobacco, cocaine, and other substances. Research shows that parental use of substances influences the child's perception of substances and their risk of using. What's going on with the peers? We know that young people are heavily influenced by their peers. Who are the peers? What's the relationship like? Is there substance use going on in the peer group? Chances are, if there is, the individual is at greater risk for substance use. What about the availability of substances in a community? Are marijuana and other substances easily accessible in the home, in the school, in the community? And lastly, media influence. We see in media that's consumed by young people that often marijuana and substance use is seen and perhaps even glamorized, which may influence the acceptability of substance use with young people. We see here that factors are kind of categorized into structural, social, setting, attitudinal. So with structural factors, we're referring to age, gender, what's going on with the family, and even religious or spiritual participation and belief systems. Research shows that those individuals that hold strong religious belief systems and participate in religious activities are at a decreased risk of substance use. Social factors, again, very important. Who are the friends? What's the relationship like? Are the friends using? Also important is the setting. So, what's the home like? What's the community like? What's the neighborhood like? Are prevention messages prevalent in the neighborhood? Is the community a cohesive one with regard to prevention efforts that are collaborative and comprehensive among school, parents, law enforcement, community-based organizations? What about the intrapersonal factors of the individual? Is the youngster mature? Has a good sense of self-esteem and self-efficacy? What's the attitude toward substance use? And lastly, research shows that individuals involved in after-school activities are less likely to engage in substance use and also demonstrate higher levels of academic achievement. Alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana are the most common gateway drugs, and gateway drugs are those first drugs that are thought to lead to more serious substance use of different drugs. Other gateway drugs may include prescription pills like narcotic painkillers, Xanax, stimulants like Ritalin or Adderall, and also inhalants and even steroids. Next, let's take a look at what type of marijuana products are on the market. So again, the flower or bud is the part of the plant that is smoked. And basically there are two types of flower. One is the indica, the other is sativa. Indica is often the choice for those who are trying to relieve pain, anxiety, or insomnia. This one is thought to be more of a relaxing, body kind of high according to people that use it. Sativa is often the choice of recreational users and is thought to be less sedating and more energetic. This one has a higher concentration of THC. There are also many edibles and drinks that contain marijuana, and caution is necessary when consuming edibles because at times there may be a lot of THC in a single edible, and the recommended dosage is only to consume part of the edible, and the individual may consume the whole edible and have some negative health consequences. There are also topicals in the form of lotions, ointments, patches, lubricants. We also see concentrates such as butane hash oil. This one is often referred to as wax, and I've heard a lot of stories of young people getting really messed up on wax because it's a really potent concentrate of marijuana that gets you really high. There's also cannabis oil that can be used for cooking as well. Tinctures are marijuana that's soaked in alcohol and then extracted, and you can use that liquid extract to put under your tongue or drop it in a drink. There's also CO2 oil and cooking oil. Here are some pictures of concentrates and the actual flower, the indica and the sativa flower, a refrigerator case of edibles and drinks, and some concentrates, or topicals rather. So what are the effects of marijuana? Many of us have heard of those very common effects like the red eyes and you get hungry and your mouth gets dry. Also included are increased heart rate, decreased blood pressure, and I've heard of people that after smoking marijuana, if they stand up quickly, that they can feel like they're going to faint or actually faint, and that's due to the decreased blood pressure consequence of smoking marijuana. We also have a loss of coordination and balance. Our reaction times are slower. There may be mental confusion, and definitely research shows impairment in memory and even altered perception of space and time. A typical marijuana high lasts about 2 or 3 hours, and it depends on what you consume and how you can consume it. And low to moderate doses produces euphoria and relaxation. Some people experience panic and paranoia. It really depends on the individual. And in rare cases, users can have some serious psychological distress like psychoses and hallucinations. Often, this happens with those individuals who may have a mental health disorder or under some other psychological distress. What do you think about critical thinking skills? So, we already talked about how marijuana impairs our memory. It also impairs our ability to register and process information. And again, our reaction times are affected. And this is residual, and the symptoms worsen for those who are chronic heavy users because marijuana residue does build up in the brain. Research also is showing that marijuana use may cause cognitive damage to young people, and probably more so young people who are using chronically and heavily. Here's a look at what different parts of the brain relate to what symptom of marijuana. And I'll let you look at this on your own, but you can see that nearly all parts of the brain are affected by marijuana use.